Hello, and thanks for joining us on Encore. Coming up on today's show. Athletic aesthetics, human sculptures, and some very dynamic dance moves. Momix has been creating kinetic poetry and performance for more than 35 years. We meet founder and choreographer Moses Pendleton as the company takes to the stage here in Paris. Moses, thanks so much for joining us today. Now, your company Momix is performing here in Paris with a show called Momix Viva Forever, and as a troupe you've already had a very long and healthy life. It's really difficult to define what Momix does. We could say contemporary dance, but it doesn't even begin to cover it really. How do you define it?
I see it as kind of a visual, physical theater. It uses, in the word Momix, it is a mix of ballet and acrobatics and circus techniques and use of very special lighting and sound and costumes to create a kind of fantasy, which is kind of an integral part of our reality.
Lots of things together.
Yes,
well, there's
it's a mix.
There's no better way to get an idea of what Momix is than to take a look. Here's a short clip. Now, there are some technological tricks and illusions in there, but I see plenty of references to the natural world as well. What inspires you when you're creating a show?
Well, nature. Nature does nurture, and it's part of my. It's an integral part of my work, I think, in terms of seeing how the human form is connected to the plant and the animal and the mineral, the non-human, in other words, and that's always been an attraction and an excitement and a source of energy for me.
We see that in the visuals, definitely.
A Naturmensch, not to mention it.
Now, you forged a path in performance and choreography in the 1970s with the troupe Pilobolus,
Yes.
With a group of fellow artists. That was very experimental. The dance is somewhere between athletics, gymnastics, even contortionism. It enjoyed enormous success. It's still going today. When you started out at the time, what was your motivation? What did you want to do with dance?
Well, I think the motivation was to escape the real world. It was back in the sociologically, politically speaking, it was the Vietnam War, and the students, I went to Dartmouth College, and the students and my collaborators were potential lawyers and doctors and businessmen, but we all headed to the woods to try to play on hollow spruce logs and drum and dance and create it was really an escapist notion. And fortunately, we had the right people at the right time see some of our antics, and they thought it could be viable in terms of a show, and we made a living doing it.
Well, it became an avant-garde institution in a way.
Yeah, it never went away, actually, yes.
Now, we're going to another global institution when it comes to dance now, the Opera Garnier here in Paris. It's best known for a classical repertoire of ballet and music, but its latest show displays more of an avant-garde and playful approach to contemporary dance, thanks to Swedish choreographer Alexander Ekman. Jenna Lee tells us more.
It's an unexpected bit of set design for such a prestigious stage. 60,000 plastic balls falling from the sky. Play certainly lives up to its name. The new dance show at the Opera Garnier is a mischievous and witty offering from Swedish choreographer Alexander Ekman, and it's something of a first at this illustrious venue.
J'avais envie de prendre un risque.
I wanted to take a risk by putting on Alexander Ekman's work. He's a young choreographer, he's very talented, and I think he really brings something special to the repertoire that we have here.
He's an exuberant presence.
Come down this way.
At just 33 years old, Alexander Ekman's already choreographed 40 shows. And during rehearsals, the pressure's on to get every creative detail right.
I want to everything. Like I would love to create a piece which has humor and low and sorrow and sensuality and all the human's expressions. You know, I think that when we experience a piece like that, it kind of is a mirror of life. That's the first one, and one more that goes into maybe the.
He suggests
If you go shloom, and then if you like, boom, and we go somewhere.
experiments and fine-tunes the steps. These first sketches are the result of an improvisation workshop with his dancers. Then, every detail is reworked and perfected to get a precise version of the dance. The next day, it could all be changed around.
He's got a very specific vision, especially when it comes to the musicality and the rhythm of what we're doing. We have to keep to that. But then it's always about movement. He changes it depending on us, and he's open to our suggestions too.
Each variation he tries out is recorded by his assistant, all the better to judge this process of trial and error.
I feel excited.
And also a little nervous as he watches from the wings. Alexander Ekman's saga is as spectacular as it is unexpected, with a touch of the burlesque. For the grand finale, an explosive celebration. It's a fitting end to the beginning of the party season.
Moses, there we are. Moses, you yourself choreographed and performed on that very stage almost 40 years ago in the Intégrale Eric Satie, which also included a 1920s Dadaist ballet. That's not bad for someone who was just in his 20s at the time. What was that experience like?
Well, the experience was very formative in terms of the spirit of the Dadaist, the instantaneous, to be specific. Francis Picabia, Eric Satie. In fact, René Clair, who did this famous movie called Entr'acte, for the Entr'acte. And we're very thrilled to have our company Momix perform on the very stage where Relâche was performed and premiered in 1923. And I actually redid this for the Paris Opera Ballet. But it was a formative seed for the spirit of Momix in terms of the play, the instantaneism, the ability to try to be outrageous in a way. This was, and it all happened here, and so we're sort of coming back home to the seeds of Momix.
Music is a big part of the performance at Momix too, and you've always incorporated modern soundtracks from Peter Gabriel to the Mighty Diamonds, the Sugar Hill Gang. I believe you also worked with Prince in the past on one of his videos. What was he like to work with?
Well, you know, he at least spoke to me, so I felt very honored. But he's a great genius, and we worked on his rock video called Batman when he was doing the Batman video. That was quite an experience, but much of what you see really is attributable to what you're listening to, and you don't know it. But so music is an integral part of the mix.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've always been very forward-looking as an artist and as a company. Momix participated in one of the very first IMAX 3D films.
Yes.
Where do you see performance going in the future?
Well, if there is a future, I see it going in a sunny direction. Well, I think you have to see that the great tension in the world is that between humans and AI. I think, and if there's some healthy integration, as it hopefully will be, between artificial intelligence and the human, then there's hope. And maybe we really might have to just succumb to Big Blue and Watson for IBM, and maybe they can figure out systems that will keep us all from killing ourselves.
Okay, well, we'll be looking out for some AI in contemporary dance. Now, we're finishing with a little music. We asked you for your cultural tip of the moment, and you pointed us in the direction of Selena Gomez. What do you like about her style?
Oh, she's very, her lyrics are very good. The one I like is Wolves. It's a pop song, but it has a lot of imagery in it that I found quite attractive, and I actually worked on it just recently, and it kind of grows on you. The idea of if you want to find someone, you have to someone you really desired. You had to go into nature or into the wolf, into the animal, to see the person, so that you could be with that person. It's a nice concept, nice idea. Very
Finding
good.
inspiration in all sorts of different sources. Moses Pendleton, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Viva Momix Forever is on at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées from December 24th till the 7th of January. We'll leave you with a clip of Selena Gomez's collaboration with Marshmello. This is Wolves. Remember to check out our website. You can also keep up with Encore on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
I've been down the darkest alleys on the dark side of the moon to get to you, to get to you. I look